Hello, Wonderhussy here on a beautiful, misty morning somewhere in the mountains in the western US. Walking down a street in a very ritzy neighborhood just after 7 a.m. And you might be wondering, well, gee, Wonderhussy, what are you doing in a fancy coastal elitist neighborhood so early in the morning? Well, I had to get here this early because the place I'm going, well, there's very limited parking. And as you can see, it's already full at 7:20 in the morning. Golly, just when you think you got up early enough to beat the crowds, there's always someone who gets up before you. Anyway, you've probably already guessed that the only thing that would get me up this early and in a neighborhood like this would be a hot spring. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you know I'm absolutely bonkers for hot springs, and I've been to over 100 of them, but for whatever reason, I've never been to this one. And I'm not sure why. This particular spring is right on the edge of a major metropolitan area. It's all over the friggin' internet, and it's been all over the news lately. That's right, people are always yelling at me not to disclose names or locations of these hot springs. I'm not saying exactly where I am, but I'm just gonna say this particular hot spring has been trending lately because I guess the rich people in this area don't like all these dirty hippies parking and hiking up to this hot spring. Apparently it gets real crowded. It's supposed to be a really nice hot spring. So especially later in the day towards sunset, a lot of partiers come up here and probably drink beer and maybe leave trash on the trail. I'm not sure. I mean, so far the trail looks pretty clean to me. I haven't seen any litter, but it's true. I mean, there is private property right up to the edge of the trail. And so I guess if I spent $50 billion to build an estate next to a hot spring, well, I wouldn't want a bunch of stinking, filthy hippies parking next to my property either. Anyway, I think it's about a mile-long trail, and it does wind through this super fancy neighborhood. This is the neighborhood where people like Prince Harry and Meghan live. And yeah, I know I'm kind of whispering, but it's 7:20 in the morning, and I feel like I'm lurking around the perimeter of these properties. I don't know, it just feels like I need to whisper and tiptoe. I mean, look at this. I guess we're crossing some kind of private driveway here. And will you just look at where this driveway leads? Oh my God, I can only imagine how amazing the house down that driveway is. Unbelievable that there's people who live like this. Oh, don't worry. I'm respecting the neighbors. That's why I'm whispering. Anyway, like I was saying, not only do Prince Harry and Meghan live up here, but I think Oprah has a house around here, and I think Barbara Streisand might even live around here somewhere. Babs, that's right. I wonder if Babs has ever been to this hot spring. Wouldn't that be something? If I hiked all the way up there and found Oprah, Barbara Streisand, Harry and Meghan all soaking naked in a hot pool. Okay, maybe that doesn't sound good to many of you, but to me, I think it'd be pretty interesting. Anyway, like I said, this place has been all over the news lately because the parking lot is so small and this hot spring is so popular. People tend to park along the side of the road, which is what I did. But according to the news, the neighbors have been putting up boulders and obstacles to make it really hard to park on the side of the road. So basically limiting the parking lot to just 5 or 6 cars. And I don't know who's behind this publicity campaign, but it's working, man. I've read like 5 or 6 articles in the news recently about this hot button topic. And so I figured I'd better come out here and investigate for myself. Okay, wow, this trail just kind of winds through this neighborhood in amongst all these fancy estates, which, oh my God, it looks like these guys here are even trying to build a whole new place. Look at that, it says new 4,000 1,267 square foot single family dwelling with garage, guest house, swimming pool, 4,000 foot long driveway, retaining walls, and an 80-foot long bridge. Dang, I guess all that's going in right on the other side of that fence. But despite all the fences and gates, I actually think it's a really beautiful hike. I mean, there's this creek flowing on the right-hand side, and even the fence itself is covered with very lush greenery, so it's not exactly ugly to look at, and everything is so lush and green from this coastal moisture. I mean, I'm shooting this video on June 13th, so you would think it would be a beautiful, bright blue, sunny summer sky, but that's not how it works. First of all, I think there's always fog like this in the mornings at the coast, but second, they get something called June gloom, where I guess it can be like this all day long. So I'm glad I'm going to a hot spring and not a cold one. Oh man, looks like there's all kinds of hiking trails up here. Not just the trail to the hot springs, but I'm guessing it's the hot springers that are really the focus of these people putting up these impediments to parking. I don't think they care about regular hikers. It's just something about hot springers. Anyway, it's a bummer there were so many cars in the parking area, because that means there's gonna be a bunch of people at the hot spring. I got up super early. I got here ridiculously early. I did not expect this many people to be here, but well, I guess that's what you get when a hot spring is all over the news. But let's just get to the hot spring and see what we can see. Despite the gloomy weather, or maybe because of the fog and mist, this was undoubtedly one of the most beautiful trails I've ever hiked to a hot spring. Especially once I climbed out of that fancy neighborhood and there was no more walls and fences. Just a beautiful, lush forest of oaks, sycamores, and all kinds of leafy, mossy green goodness. Remember, I'm from the desert. I'm not used to this kind of scenery. So to me, it seemed like something out of a fairy tale. It felt almost magical. And I'm hardly the first person to find this landscape magical. For centuries, the local Native American tribes probably followed this same path to the hot springs, which they believed to have sacred healing powers. Until the Spanish came in and took over, and their women used them to wash their dirty laundry. In fact, as I was hiking along, I noticed a pipeline coming down the canyon, probably from the hot spring. So either someone's still using the water to wash their dirty chonies to this day, or maybe Oprah, Babs, Harry, and Meghan are just sucking out water for their own private hot springs, so you don't have to worry about running into them naked after all. Okay, I think we might be getting close to the hot spring, so we're gonna have to be real sneaky. Gonna have to go into hot spring hunter mode. Crikey, I think I smell hippies. We must be close. Oh, I think she's just around the bend up there. Sure enough, I started to see signs of human development, so I knew I was getting close. Because eventually, even the white man recognized the healing properties of these waters, or at least the ability to sell the healing properties of these waters, and they quit doing their laundry here and developed a commercial hot spring resort. From 1850 on, one resort or another operated at this site, but because it's so remote, mountainous, and thickly forested, the resorts kept burning down in wildfires. Or maybe it was a Native American curse. And after one particularly bad fire in 1964, they finally gave up, and eventually the springs became part of the National Forest. But you can still see the ruins of the old stone resort buildings to this day, which, combined with the lush, almost tropical rainforest surroundings, gave this hike a real Tomb Raider kind of vibe. Like I was hiking to some mysterious, ancient holy place. Which, in a way, I guess I kind of was. These really were among the most beautiful hot springs I've ever been to. A series of natural rock-built pools cascading down a ravine in the forest, steaming in the misty morning air. I guess one of the first Europeans to visit these springs back in 1846 wrote in his journal, "I never yet came across a more picturesque sight, nor do I expect it in the future." And that pretty much sums it up. But yeah, despite the fact that it was still only about 8 a.m., it seemed like just about everyone and their Aunt Sally had apparently hiked up here, and it was pretty crowded with normies. Like I said, this is a very popular hot spring, and it's on all trails and Google Maps and everything like that. So there was a bunch of teenagers, TikTokers, and hiking moms, and they were all wearing swimsuits. So I figured that by dropping trow, I could weird everybody else out enough so I could get a pool all to myself. And it worked. Oh my God, this place is amazing. This is one of the most beautiful hot springs I've ever been to. And remember, I've been to over 100. There's a bunch of people here, so it's kind of hard to shoot footage, but basically there's a series of pools going down this ravine, and some of them are this beautiful bright turquoise blue color. Absolutely amazing. But because there's so many people here, I had to come all the way up to, I guess, the top pool, which is super duper hot. I didn't bring my thermometer with me, but I would guess, oh man, it's gotta be like 106, maybe even 107. I mean, it's piping hot. And there was a guy in here when I first got here, but he just left. And he left these herbs in here. I think it's basil. It's making the water smell absolutely amazing. There's a slight sulfur smell to this water, but not enough to be bothersome. But whatever herbs this dude put in here, it's like the perfect fragrance. And the air is all misty and foggy. I mean, this hot spring looks like something out of Lord of the Rings. I'm not kidding. Anyway, this tub is so hot that I can't stay in it very long, but it does feel pretty good on a misty morning like this. I mean, it's like, I don't even think it's 9 o'clock yet. It's probably not even 8 o'clock yet, and there's so freaking many people here. I guess they all read the news like I did, and everybody wanted to come up here and see what was going on. I'm the only person not wearing a swimsuit. Oh well, you know what they say. No pants, no problem. Okay, it's after 9 a.m. now, and the hot springs were starting to get pretty crowded. So I figured I might as well get out and head back to my car. But I don't know, I guess it's all good in a way, because I actually think the parking situation here might be more interesting than the hot springs themselves. You know, like I was saying earlier, it's been all over the news how the residents of this super duper upscale neighborhood have been blocking access to the hot spring trail. I mean, you can see that the official parking lot for the trailhead is pretty small. I mean, there's only room for, what, maybe 10 cars? And then the sign says you can only park here from 8 a.m. to sunset, which I'm guessing is meant to prevent overnight camping, but I don't know. There sure were a lot of cars here when I got here at 7:15 a.m., which is why I had to park way down the street there, just sort of pulled over to the side of the road. And even that was problematic because there was a road sign that said, "Park to the right of the white line only." And, well, you can see there's not a whole lot of space to the right of this white line. So considering how many people were at that hot spring, by the time I left, it's actually amazing they all found places to park. I mean, in addition to where I parked in the parking lot, it looks like there's room. Well, it says there's says no parking, but there's a bunch of cars parked here, so I guess if you're behind this white line, they can't tow you. I mean, either that or there's gonna be a whole bunch of cars towed out of here. This is wild. But I don't know, according to what I read online, it sounded like homeowners were putting giant boulders out in front of their homes, like to block the areas where there is enough room to park on the other side of the white line. I don't see anything like that here. And if I did, I'd be inclined to think that it wasn't the homeowners that were trying to stop people from parking here. It's probably the hot springs regulars, you know, the old timers that have been coming here forever and, you know, don't want their hot springs to be crowded. You know, wouldn't it be something if it was the hot springs old timers that were trying to stop people from coming here? And the irony in all of this is, look at this. There's a sticker here on this guardrail that says, stolen Chumash land. Okay, the Chumash is the Native American tribe that, well, I guess this is their ancestral homeland. Boy, I'd love to see about 10 buses of Chumash Indians come up here and see what these rich folks have to say about that. You know, how are you gonna stop the Native Americans from enjoying their ancestral healing waters? I mean, I think the Chumash did consider those hot springs to be sacred. But sacred or no, I guess nothing gets in the way of manifest destiny. I mean, golly, look at some of these places. This is unreal. I guess that's America. Frankly, I'm astonished you can still get to these hot springs at all. Uh-oh. Looks like somebody left their chonies at the side of the road. I mean, you can understand why these rich folks might be putting boulders up trying to stop people from coming here. Ugh, I'll go ahead and pick up all the trash I can, like I do at every hot springs I visit, because I try to leave places better than I found them. And to be honest, I really didn't find that much garbage at this hot spring. You know, considering how friggin' busy it is here, you'd think there would be much more, but all I really found was, well, these soiled chonies, this citronella wristband wrapper, picked up a thing of chewing tobacco, somebody's disgusting wart band-aid, and 2 cigarette butts. Not bad, but not great. Anyway, I'm gonna take this stuff with me and dispose of it properly and get out of here to make room for the next 500 people that are looking for a place to park and come enjoy these hot springs.